I am. Here we go. Okay. Let's go this way. That's what I was trying not to.
I know, boys and girls, it's time for another Jeep Talk Show flagship episode. This is our flagship 2. And no, this is not April. April didn't dye her hair brunette.
I have way smaller area up here, too.
I didn't know what you were talking about there for a second. I see what you're saying. Yeah, April's actually...
I love April. You have no idea how much love I have for April.
Oh, we're loving her here on the show too, but she's out doing something. Somebody, a company, flew her out for something today. She told me, but I forget what it was now. It didn't involve me, so I didn't care. You know how it is.
Did she ever tell you she took a video of me at Artemis Rally and it's like over 1 million and something views because I flipped up the splits?
Wow, no, I don't remember that. Maybe she did. I was told by Natalie, you know who Natalie is, one of the Chick Chat ladies that you'll be working with, that Natalie and April did a video out at the Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion for me. And I have yet to see it yet because April hasn't sent it to me. So who knows? I know. Well, she's busy. So anyway,
she's not just like a personality. She's like literally hilarious to be around.
She's fun. Yeah.
She's so fun, but she's a heartfelt girl. I really love that girl. She's cool.
Yeah, she plays along really good with me, which is important because it gets kind of ugly if you just let me run over you. All right, so yeah, we have Anastasia filling in tonight, and I like getting you on more because you're brand new to the group, and I want to make sure that the people get to see you and get their questions answered. I don't know. Did you see the Flagship 1 episode with Greg, and he was asking who's this new girl that's on the show?
I did. And it was pretty hilarious that you called it a Grendel. And that is a classic novel, by the way.
What do I know? I'm sorry. I apologize. I said, I think I'm mispronouncing it. Pronunciate it for me, please.
So it is an Ineos Grenadier.
Grenadier.
Yes, a Grenadier. And my Instagram is Grenadier Trial Girl, because the version that I have is a station wagon Trial Master. So that is the model of Ineos Grenadier that I have. They only have 2. They have a station wagon, and then they have a quartermaster, which is a truck version. And within the station wagon, there's a field master and a trial master. The trial master is the off-road version, and the field master is a little bit more pretty princess, street princess style. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I thought you misspelled trail because it to me it should be trail master, not a trial master.
It's kind of funny. A lot of people call it a trial master until they get corrected, just the same way that people think that I have a snorkel on my car, but it's actually an air intake. So there's a lot of misconceptions. I think this will be a great platform to kind of talk a little bit about what the misconceptions are and what it actually is made of and the history of it, and then be able to relate it to off-roading with my husband's Jeep and my Grenadier. And then I always have a friend who comes by with a Bronco. But I grew up actually as a Toyota girl with Land Cruisers growing up. My father went to the Middle East and he was working out there and everybody used Land Cruisers. And when we came home, I lived in a very rural area on farmland and we were always dealing with a lot of deer. So Land Cruisers, on the land, we drove them, we got them stuck, we had a lot of fun. It was my first car, my second car, and my third car.
Oh, nice. So let me ask you something. I remember you talking about the snorkel before, and it's not a snorkel, it's an air intake.
Correct.
I have a snorkel on my Gladiator, and it is an air intake. I mean, it's not a snorkel until I go through water, in my mind. So how is that different on the Grenadier? Oh, I did it. I did it right. How is that different on the Grenadier?
You did it. Well, okay. So first of all, this air intake, it's really to keep fresh air going through and allow for more air, but it is not sealed. A real snorkel actually doesn't let water get into the engine bay.
Right.
You know, it allows for it to, it is not a closed system by any means. However, there's a guy in Australia who's super cool that has a very nice snorkel on his Grenadier. And he's hilarious too. I love watching him. And that is a legit snorkel. And there are some companies that are making them, but the one that comes from the factory, the OEM part, that is also an accessory that you have to pay for extra. It is not a snorkel.
Gotcha.
It is air.
So it's open to the outside somewhere besides up at the top.
Called like plastic clips with holes.
Right. Yeah, no, I understand. But this is brilliant. This is good that they did this, because the original snorkel wasn't made for going through water. It was made to get air, clean air up high, and it was developed in Australia. Right. So that's why I was saying all snorkels are really cold air intakes. So whenever somebody sells you a cold air intake and it goes in your engine bay, that ain't cold air. That's hot air. If you want cold air, you need to get it out of the engine bay, and that's what this does on the Grendel, and this is what it does. Grenadier.
You just called it Grendel again.
I was so proud of myself too.
So maybe that's our like nickname for this car. That's really funny. Actually, there's a guy named Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and he actually asked Land Rover for the Defender plans, like the specs and everything like that, saw if he could buy it. Because I think he was pretty perturbed that the original Defender over time got, I'll call it, emasculated into what is now the Defender.
Kind of the same thing that happened with Britain, honestly. Seriously, you know?
Well, this car is also British, and it's a melting pot still, though, because what they did was they put the reliable German B58 turbo engine in it, which is just like, oh, I love it. And my little kid's always like, turbo mommy. And then it has solid Carraro axles in the front and back, and those are Italian, obviously. They also chose Recaro seats for the inside of the car. The fatigue driving long distances, I drove it all the way out to Moab from the East Coast and all the way back, was incredible. I was not having a lot of issues whatsoever with the seat time that I had in it. And then in addition to that, it has a full ladder frame, just like the original Defender did. So that is a wonderful part of the car. It's kind of back to the days of workhorse cars that could really manage everything from farm life to remote locations. And I would say that the stock shocks are pretty good. I haven't had any much, problem. The steering is loosey-goosey because, of course, it's an off-road vehicle. But what I love about it is, even though people call this a luxury car, it doesn't even have like powered seats or a mirror in the visor. It's extremely perfunctory. Like, it's functional. Like, you know how they always say form follows function? Well, this has a gear shifter that you can put into manual, but it's still electronic, obviously.
Right.
But as far as the differentials and the getting in high, low, and center diff, that's manual. I mean, you have to put it in neutral. You have to pull up a
That's the way it should be. It needs to be a mechanical linkage, in my opinion. And these knobs, these electronics things, no, don't like it. Don't care for it.
Right. So you can get in high, low, and center diff. And then if your car has the rear and the front differentials, that is through a button. But there also has to be a process that you go through in order to be able to press the button to engage. And of course, rear has to go on first. You can't just use the front by itself. You know that there are situations where front diff lock is better than rear than front. So you can actually, it's nice to have that ability to select ones. Jeep doesn't allow you to do it. I mean, if you get like a Rubicon, they make you engage the rear diff before the rear locker before you engage the front. And there are times that you want to drag yourself around or up over something with the front locker, not just the rear. But safety wise, the majority of times they're trying to keep things from getting broken. So
they're babysitting you. And I like having the ability of doing it the way I want to do it.
Well, and I think that's why I might be looking at a manual for the side piece baby girl Jeep that I want to get. I'm on like probably a 6 months to a year lookout financially to get that, because I might have to sell a motorcycle or two that I have in order to afford another toy. But
well, there's a danger. If you get a TJ or a YJ and you build it up a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, you may be outwheeling your husband in his JLU. So there may be some fights there at the house.
Well, it's so funny because I'm normally the one who's sitting there. Like, we were at a Good Evening Ranch, and they have this little area called the Honey Hole, and it's tons of huge boulders, and it's absolutely beautiful there. And there's no way I would have had any of the clearance to even get into the boulder area. Maybe like on an edge, maybe go up on, one tire here and there. But let me tell you, he was just in the middle of it, ripping around.
It's amazing.
Really envious of that. Mm-hmm. And how fun would it be if I could not just watch, but actually participate? But you see, the Grenadier is also like a very different lifestyle. I mean, right now my rig is set up for overlanding and off-roading, right. But my off-roading most generally is not past like a blue trail or medium difficulty.
Sure.
I have been sitting on a lift for like over a year, and I won't actually lift it just yet because they were having some drive shaft issues with the boot tearing, and
right.
That's okay. I'm a patient girl. I know how to wait for the right moment. And if I do it, great. If I don't, no problem. It's still such an expensive car in terms of replacement pieces that I don't want to put myself in a situation, and it's my daily. Mm-hmm. So I have to be smart.
Well, this will be perfect. If you get like a TJ or a YJ, the parts will be more readily available. And also too, since it's not a daily, although you may drive it daily, depending on what the weather's like, although the Grenadier will handle the bad weather just as well. But it'll be neat if you have a backup a Jeep like that, and also too, the two doors are so nimble. You can just get in and around stuff. It's just so much fun to drive. My wife has a TJ, so I get to drive that one from time to time. All right, before we get, real interesting conversation, but we got a little far into this before we got too far, I want to mention. I know that you guys might be listening to this episode, days, weeks, months down the road, and this it may not be very timely for you, but it happened today on the recording that we're doing, and I wanted to mention it. Charlie Kirk at an event. If you're not familiar with Charlie Kirk, he's a conservative, and he would go to college campuses. He had his own podcast, and he would go to college campuses. And he would just talk about religion and the conservative values and the things that he believed in. And he would take questions from the people there at the college. And he was respectful, and he would hear them out, and he would give them rebuttal or agree with them or whatever. And he was going out there doing the hard work. Sharp dude. Anyway, he was assassinated today. And as I was telling you, Anastasia, my oldest daughter is 31, same age as what Charlie was when he was killed today. And it really bothers me. I think that when you can identify with what his parents, if his parents are still living, which I suspect they would be, what they're having to go through. And Charlie was married with children, so his children are going to grow up without him. There's going to be plenty of stuff online that they can review and get to know their dad, but it's not the same as actually him being there with them. And I just wanted to mention this, that I think it's horrible, and we should not, I don't care what your political values are. If you're a Jeeper and I have something in common with you to talk about, that's the only thing that matters to me. I'm not going to quiz you with, if you supported Biden or if you supported Trump. I don't care, because we are so much more than politics. And this decisiveness shouldn't be going on. And it certainly shouldn't go to the level of why I think Charlie was killed today. So,
a human life is a human life.
Yes.
So.
All right. With that said, now we've already had the discussion about different vehicles besides other than Jeep, would it be OTJ. And this is perfect for our discussion tonight that I set up. So I was watching, as I often do, going through the TikTok, the ticky-tacky, and watching stuff. And there was
on that app, like
it's a lot of fun.
Oh well,
there's a lot of Jeepers on there.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, TikTok. I don't think I'll ever get on TikTok. Maybe I should be open-minded. Maybe, but
no, you should do exactly what you like to do. If you remember kindergarten was great because they didn't make you read anything. You could just look at pictures. That's kind of like what TikTok is. The only thing it's missing is a pallet to take a nap on and the little quart of milk that you drink right before you do that. All right. So anyway, I was looking at the TikTok and there was a guy that he was talking about Toyota, and his question was, which would you rather have, a Toyota or a Jeep? And he was standing there next to a Toyota, and he was standing there next to, I think it was a Gladiator. And I look at those two things, and I have absolutely no interest in any other vehicle, especially off-road, other than Jeep. And I got
of your show, we can gather that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I understand. Yeah, but I understand some people like that. And just looking at it, I mean, looking at the curves and it looks like your typical SUV compared to the boxy Jeep, something that looks like it's rugged and outdoor and on trail, not something that's all curvy. And, I want to be able to modify my Jeep. And I know you can modify Toyotas, but I think it's a little easier to do with the Jeep because it's a little more boxy, a little square. It's more a simpler build. Anyway, they were talking about longevity and blah, blah, blah. And I thought it would be a great topic, especially with you, with the Grenadier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. So, because you understand it. I mean, there's a Jeep in your family, but you have experience with these other vehicles. So maybe you would understand it better than me. So, I want to dive.
Okay, so I love Toyotas. Just growing up, like I said, I told you earlier, I had 3 Land Cruisers. My first car was a Land Cruiser. It saved my life. The second car, and that's because I was a fresh newbie 16-year-old girl going on a gravel road, taking a curve way too fast. And on the other side of the tree that I hit was about a 15-foot drop into a creek. So that car pretty much saved my life, and so did that tree. And then, thank goodness my parents were kind enough to still allow me to figure out a way to drive thereafter instead of just telling me I could never drive again.
Yes, that's the direction I would have gone.
These were all hand-me-downs from my parents, because we lived in the country and deer were prolific. So the next one I got had a deer guard on it. And it was really cool. I think it was like a 5th generation, maybe like the J80s when they first came out and they're real curvy, instead of being boxy anymore. And then that was just a sexy car. And it had way more capability than I really could conceptualize at the time because I was still a young girl. And Land Cruisers, really reliable, great engines, and then the towing capacity. I wouldn't say they're the best off-road on East Coast because we have so much mud and so much wet and rock and everything. Like maybe when my dad had been in the Middle East to view and experience how great they were out in the sand. I mean, that's why he is initially essentially bought them back here in the U.S. because they were just such capable vehicles. Mm-hmm. Pretty good, but then I got I guess you would call it the J100, or maybe like some people mistaken it. I don't know. It's like the 6th generation. That's when I was 21. I got that car. It was a new car and it had the V8 in it and it could tow like over 6,000 pounds. And the reason why I had this car was because my dad was like always wanting to keep us safe, and so SUV was the way to go. And I'm telling you, I loved that car. And I had beautiful running boards. I dented up, unfortunately, just from being outside. I'm going to put that down. Just from being outside on the land and going to like field parties and stuff like that. I probably shouldn't have been going to. But
well, that's how you learn though. And that's how you have fun. And you get used to that off-road capability.
Yes. And I grew up dirt biking and four-wheeling a lot, like almost, to the point where my mom's yelling at me, put your helmet on. And, I jumped a big mound with my cousin on the back, and I was doing a handstand practically midair on the four-wheeler. That was crazy. Almost died. And then, after the Land Cruisers, I've had a couple cars since then. And currently with the Grenadier, the difference between it is like they're just completely different animals, the same way a Jeep is a completely different animal from a Grenadier, because you can work on Jeeps yourself. There's tons of parts, tons of options. And, the Grenadier is brand new. So everything is overpriced. Everything is new. They have quirks. They have things you have to work on. Mm-hmm. The community is really starting to actually congregate, and there's a forum, of course. There's a lot of groups out there starting to form, and like including my women's club. But Jeep is so rich in history, and they are entrenched in every part of this world. They are so capable. So like, for example, maybe your Jeep can't tow as much or overland the same way that my Grenadier can, but it still can do it. Okay.
Right. Right.
The Grenadier is a workhorse, but I can't crawl the way that you can crawl a Jeep. Mm-hmm. And I can't take the doors off or the roof off.
Oh, and no.
I know.
Yeah. So before we get too far away from it, tell people where the women's club that you have is. I mean, what's the website information?
Sure. It's just women's Ineos Grenadier Club.com. And it's a global club, and it was founded, in the spirits of the original women who went to the first Grenadier gathering in Moab that was put on by Voyager Outdoors, Mike Reed. And he's, just an incredible man, and decided for the first Grenadier gathering that he would create a women's expedition clinic. Mm-hmm. And through that, and social media, because I was starting to get back on social media from a long absence because COVID, everyone was crazy, and I got off of social media. He ended up asking me if I wanted to go to Moab. And I said, okay, absolutely. And from
there... Had you been before?
Well, I had been, I've traveled a lot, but I had never been to Moab. And I certainly hadn't.
It's like another planet. It's just amazing looking.
Yes. And everything you look at is like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Just like every 2 seconds you're in awe.
Just looking around with your mouth hanging wide open. Yeah. So let me ask you something really quick. We already established that you're going to get you a Jeep, an older Jeep, so that you can go and do off-road stuff in a more Jeepy way. You have a lot of, and this is back to the reason why we're talking about this stuff. You have a lot of experience with Toyotas and Land Rovers and stuff. Why aren't you getting a Land Rover? You have a lot of experience with that. It saved your life. So I think this is key.
Like cruiser, you mean?
Yeah.
Because Land Rover, like my family's had some Range Rovers. I've never had a Range Rover. But the reason why I don't have a Land Cruiser now, is, well, first of all, the last one I had started to get a little old. I didn't decide to get another one. I did the mom van life for a while because I ended up having, I have 5 kids and everything. My husband and I went to like an NV 3500, which is the box van V8.
Oh my goodness.
At the door open.
Yeah.
And all these kids are coming in. I'm not offering free candy, but I am offering.
How about 10 millimeter sockets? That's another way to get people in the van.
Yeah, that's true too. Oh man. I would love some extras of those, by the way.
Yeah.
But it was the van life for quite some time because we traveled, and I was hauling a travel trailer with it. So I would haul this like 32-foot travel trailer so that we could, travel as much as we could. And that was our life for quite some time. And then I ended up getting the Grenadier. This is kind of funny. I'm going to tell you something, and I don't think people really get it. Okay. So it's kind of funny. Even you were like, oh, this is a fancy luxury car. I mean,
Exactly.
the G-Wagon is still more expensive than the Ineos Grenadier. Although I will say my Grenadier is like really expensive now because I did get the Trial Master and I got a lot of gear, just which has been through sponsorship and partnerships and things like that. But I did not earn my Grenadier. What happened was my parents are, for their 50th anniversary, wanted to go all out for their children. And they really loved this car. It was introduced to them by my brother, who I adore. And so my parents ended up getting my sister, my brother, and I, and themselves a Grenadier. And that is the truth.
Goodness.
Of the story. I did not earn this car, but I use it.
I was just going to say, how do you have to earn this? I mean, the standard credit app is, you know, that's no, you got to earn it. So, but well, that's there's nothing wrong with that. Your parents love you. If they want to give you something, you earned it because you were part of the family.
Well, let me put it this way. I am one of the most blessed children in the entire world. But it also has created a lot of memories, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm a school teacher. So there really is no way I could actually afford this car on my own, which is why I've had to work really hard to put accessories on it. And
I bet.
Yes.
That's kind of the curse, isn't it? Because it's a really cool, you didn't have to pay for it. But if you want to make any modifications to it, there's not that multi-billion-dollar aftermarket like there is for the Jeep. So you can get a lot of stuff a lot cheaper, I would suspect.
And we have a very different value system, I think, than a lot of people might think about. Like I was very blessed, but at the same time, like, we're really hard workers. So my parents understand that we work really hard. And, you know, my father's Korean, my mother's Cajun from Louisiana. We got a lot of spice going on in our lives. And our parents are our hearts, and we honor them and respect them. And they're my priority, besides my family, obviously. And my husband is an incredible man. He is a community worker as well. He is a clinical therapist for the VA. So for Veterans Affairs. And, you know, so
does he ever therapist you whenever you're going down the wrong trail or something and you're acting, you know, not the best way?
Only in the bedroom.
Because I can well imagine you get sick of that therapist stuff.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, but like he, you know, I don't have like some rich husband that decided to buy me a car or anything like that. He's, you know, yeah. Does he ever put his therapist hat on? That would be unethical. But like I said, you know, role play is kind of fun once in a while.
All right. So
why do you think we have 5 kids?
Yeah. So I didn't make my standard get a TV joke. So would it be the reason why you're not looking at getting a what was the Toyota? Not Land Rover. What did I call it the wrong thing? Was
Land
it?
Cruiser.
Land Cruiser. So you're not getting a Land Cruiser because they don't make them anymore, or they don't have the parts like they're available for the Jeep, or because I mean you don't have. I'm not trying to talk you into not getting a Jeep, but you've had a lot of and going back to this conversation about why do people choose Jeep? I mean you have obvious experience with a multitude of other vehicles.
The Land Cruiser, to me, used to be like a really good-looking car, okay? And it's still capable. I feel like the newest Land Cruiser that came out is not as attractive to me. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to drive around something I don't feel is aesthetically pleasing. And that may sound shallow or vain, but
not at all. You're the consumer. You should have what you want to have, and you want it to look a certain way.
The Grenadier is a hot ass car. That car is really sexy, and I feel great in it. I think it's gorgeous. But when my husband lets me drive the Jeep with the roof off and the doors off, and I feel like I'm back on a motorcycle, like I love. I mean, my husband and I used to moto camp all the time. And, you know, I grew up with the wind in my hair. It's just, there's nothing else like it. And, your community is really cool too, but it's not just the community. Like, I want to be able to take a Jeep out for its capabilities so that I can get on trail with my husband and not have to take the bypass, because that can be like really difficult. It's like,
you don't seem to me to be that type of person. You seem to be like in your face. I'm going and
let's do this.
Yeah.
I want to do the same thing that all the boys do. Not because I'm trying to be a boy, but because like, I'm an adventure junkie and like adrenaline junkie. So I want to try it. And I know there are limitations with my Grenadier that I'm not going to push, so that I don't cause like a $3,000 part that's like this big that needs to be replaced. Because despite the fact that this was a gift, everything else is on me.
Oh no, I wouldn't expect like, Daddy, I broke something. Can you get it fixed for me? No, I can't see that happening at all. That would be bad form.
I got to respect the gift. And another thing that the Land Cruiser, Range Rovers, Grenadier, and the Jeeps and Bronco, because one of our really good family friend has like just such a kick-ass Sasquatch, and we go wheeling all together, is I find out that, the more you find out the less you know. So, for example, I thought that my car was literally wider than the Bronco. I mean, was more narrow than the Bronco, but actually my car is like less than an inch wider than the Bronco. Because you know how the Bronco looks very meaty and wide and it's set a little bit lower, but mine is like a little taller and more narrow. No. And then I tried towing the Jeep. I literally put my husband's JLU and tried towing it with the Grenadier. Come to find out, his wheelbase is longer than the Grenadier's. So I was getting a lot of sway. And even though we had sway bars and everything, like it was not good. It was not good. So we did not tow the JLU with the Grenadier. But if I get a TJ or an LJ, the wheelbase is shorter, and I might be able to flat tow it. We'll see.
And it doesn't weigh as much as the JLU. So yeah, you should be in a much better situation. I think and I was going to tell you about the LJ. I think LJ would be a real good way to go. We have a Jeep Talk Show regular listener, a viewer, that he was on the roundtable last night showing off his LJ, and I think he got it for like $10,000. It's not a Rubicon. So, which is good with him because he's going to make his own modifications to it. That's the thing I enjoy the most about the Jeeps, is making your own modifications.
Well, and my husband, he was really, he impressed upon me the value of, even if I do get an older used one, what was the priority to make sure, whether it was rust or that it didn't have so many things that I'd be spending another whatever amount of money to just get it on the road, and able to crawl, because it's going to be like my side piece. It's not going to be my daily. It's going to be that fun car. But he was like, you don't want to have to just redo the entire thing.
No. And you definitely want to get a 4.0. I think this. Don't get that 2.4 or whatever that 4-cylinder is. That's a waste.
Right. And I have to make sure that also I'm trying to kind of wrap my brain around getting a manual. And his JLU, he actually changed everything out and put the Rubicon the diffs on his own car and installed them himself. I don't think he'll re-gear it. We have some people here on the East Coast called the Dirt Nerds. They're super amazing, and they've helped us out a lot. They're keeping their eyes open for some Jeeps as well.
I think the Rubicon axles come with 410s in them. So you should be good to 35s, maybe even 37s, especially with that 8-speed transmission. That takes up a lot of the problems. So you probably, if you went 37s, 456s probably would be the best, but you can probably get away with the 410s.
Right, without having to re-gear it, right?
I still think going 456s is a better way of going. But if you're not going to like 40s or something like that, it's not as critical.
Well, and that's the thing, like any car you decide to modify, just be prepared for everything else to adjust, shift, and then you're going to have to modify. Yeah. I mean, it's just the waterfall effect, you know?
So I don't think you've heard this before. Here on the show, we have a saying, no modification goes unpunished. Because when you change one thing, you gotta and it can be a blessing too, because modifications are fun, you know, shopping and getting the right one, all that stuff. All right, so let me wrap this up. Basically, you're going to go with a Jeep because kind of the same reason why I like Jeeps is because I like Jeeps. I like what they do. I like how they do it. I like the way it looks. And damn it, that's what I want.
Fun. Yeah, they're like you're a kid at a monster truck show, but you're in it.
Yeah.
And you just like are having a blast, and you can just personalize it any way you want. I mean, it's super duper cool. And I would love to be able to choose all the different details and know that I have access to anything that you could do to a Jeep. You know, I mean, that's one of the coolest parts. It's like having a blank slate with a Lego and just building whatever you want to build. I think that is so neat. Everybody has a personality. And for a lot of Jeepers, their personalities are like literally busting out of their cars. And I think that's just a really fun part of the Jeep culture. And I mean, like I said, I haven't met a person that hasn't been awesome, fun, welcoming. And Jeepers are just really good people so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 80 some odd years of Jeeps. And there's a lot more than the Land Rover, the Toyotas. There's just so much more history. It's the Jeep is so unique and so iconic. So speaking of unique and iconic, have you heard of any of our Nicky G segments yet?
Nicky G segment.
Nicky G tells us a joke. It's a bad joke. Sometimes it's two bad jokes.
Okay, so I saw April doing something back and forth with some sort of robotic something.
That was Grok. That was the Grok AI. So Nicky G is an actual living person, and for the last 12 years, he's been calling in or now sending in videos of bad jokes that he has. We don't know where he comes up with them. If we find out the book that he's using, we're going to take it and bury it. But anyway, I'm making way for our Nicky G segment. Take it away, Nicky G.
Oh, by the way, I should make sure that my next car for the TJ is a ballerina.
What do you mean? What's a ballerina? Are you going to call it a ballerina, or is there some modification?
Yeah, no, like since I was a ballerina.
Yeah, but is there some sort of modification to the Jeep, or there's a name or anything? How would you make it a ballerina?
I'm going to somehow, maybe it just came to me, it's going to turn into the ballerina. On my Grenadier, I always do the splits, and I always do like crazy, you know, I'm 43 and I still got some flexibility. So like I hang off of it, and I do some acrobats on it. It's like really fun. But now my brain is going like, maybe I'm going Black Swan with it. So we'll see.
It would be interesting to see what you come up with. Let's talk more about that right after this, Nicky G.
Hey, this is Nicky G, and if you're short like me, I'm only 10 apples tall. Kudos to you if you know what that's a reference to. But if you're short like me, working on your Jeep, especially if it's lifted, is kind of a nightmare. You need a climbing aid. Milk crate. See a milk crate, grab it. They're just the perfect height to get me up over the fender and into the engine bay. If you got to get up a little bit higher, a step ladder. Yeah, I never knew who my real ladder was. Boys and girls, it is what it is. I'll chat at you. That was a long way to go for a bad joke. All right, boys and girls, I'll chat you later and have a good one. Bye.
All right, so that's our Nicky G, and I'll apologize to you like I apologize to all of our listeners. Nicky G knows he puts up with a lot of trash talk from us, but we really appreciate him calling those things in every week. All right, so now I think I got what you're talking about. You want to have a ballerina themed Jeep, TJ or LJ. That's going to be interesting to see how you do that.
Articulation, flexibility, flexion. I mean, hello, I'm getting there. Maybe some sort of Yeah, some beautiful.
Now you mentioned ballerina because you used to be a ballerina, and
yes.
How many years did you do that?
Well, I was dancing since I was 3, and I stopped performing probably about, I think my last performance was in 2018, 2019.
So, and this is probably a very common question. How do you stand on your toes? Do you have to wrap the shoe or whatever you call the little ballerina thing really tight? Do you have to tape your toes? Because I think that would be like doing push-ups with my fingertips.
Yes. So it's very interesting. A lot of people think that there's a wood box on point shoes, but it's not. So a point shoe is actually made out of hardened glue in the box. And you slip your foot into that, and it has a thing called a shank, which gives you under arch support.
Oh,
okay?
Thank God. I like hearing this because it just sounds very painful to me, you know?
I mean, it's like, this is the thing that you're doing up on your toes. And what happens is over time that hardened glue starts to soften, and then you got to throw those point shoes away and get new ones. And if you have really strong feet, I mean, and these back in the day for me were $60 to $80 a pop for a pair. Mm-hmm. You're going through like a pair or two in one performance sometimes.
My goodness.
Yes. So, I mean, it is
because they're very slight. They can't be like steel toe work boots. They have to be very demure and, look the part. So they have to be really engineered perfectly.
And most of them used to be handmade, and most of them now have parts of them that are obviously machine or like, just factory set. So the point shoes are if you actually look up the history of the point shoe, it's pretty fascinating. And they make them in all different countries, all different everything. But I think growing up in the ballet world, I mean, I have incredible friends that were, principals of American Ballet Theater, Pacific Northwest, New York City Ballet, across overseas that went to perform in the Netherlands and just even the UK, even in France. I mean, I went to one of the top ballet schools called Kurov Academy, and it is a cutthroat world. And I decided,
I've seen The Simpsons, so I remember that episode with the ballerina stuff. So I know a little bit about the ballerina stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that it gave me a foundation of work ethic, discipline.
You have to have the discipline because who wants to do that crap all the time? I'm sure you got tired of it. But the accomplishment, I'm sure, was very nice. Hey, do you have any long-term benefits or things that aren't beneficial from your time as a ballerina?
I would say the fact that I can still do the splits in all directions is a huge benefit. I think my husband would agree with that too, just saying. And I think that the difficulty is that now that I'm older, I miss it. So that would be the only negative.
Do you do stretches or exercises to maintain?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm super fit for the most part. And I'm constantly, I still put on my point shoes. I put them on like a month ago and worked out in them. And I teach ballet and I teach dance and I teach fitness. So I have kept that, and I choreograph school musicals now. So I'm still dancing all the time.
Oh, okay.
But
you have to maintain a certain amount of weight too, don't you? Because if you get too heavy, it's going to be very difficult to do these things, I would think.
That's a human thing, okay? Like, let's just be real about that. Too much of anything is not good. It's too bad. It's hard on your joints, hard on your...
no, absolutely. But yeah. that extreme of ballerina type stuff or dancing, I could well imagine you have to be very concerned about keeping your weight where it needs to be.
Well, so there's a unfortunate part and a dark side of that I think some people... if they don't have a strong, healthy mentality and relationship with food and their bodies, that they can fall victim to. I was so incredibly blessed to have a mother who was in the dance world, who shielded me, protected me, and educated me on all of the really nasty things that could go on. And I love food, never had an issue eating. I was strong. And in order to be strong, you have to eat. And in order to work, you have to have fat. You know, a lot of body image stuff, especially for women, when I was growing up dancing, it can break you, but I was on the side of confidence. It helped me I was always a very confident, you know, girl, a confident teenager, a confident woman at this point in time in my life, you know, with my gray hair, wrinkles, and whatever body I have left over from bearing children. Like, I don't care. I'm amazing. Like, you know, like I'm going to use my body.
And I think that probably came straight from your parents. They probably taught you that early on. And it's a good thing that you were in ballet because that gave you the sense of accomplishment. But I can well imagine that being in a cutthroat world, people are always looking for shortcuts. So it's good that you didn't take any. Well,
people are also like constantly criticizing you. Like it is never ending. This is not good enough. This is not good enough. Well, you know, you get to a point where you're like, okay, that's all right. And I'm all right with this being good enough. You know, when I decided to go to college, rather than go into a company, it was really about preserving what I thought would be a better decision for my future. A lot of the times ballerinas, when they go pro and they get into companies, they can stay stuck in the lower levels, or if they become a soloist or a principal dancer, which is like the big time and you get a lot of, you know, time on stage, they teeter out in their early 30s. You're lucky.
Well, imagine
30s.
I bet you it's worse than football and baseball.
Right. Then what do? You don't have an education to back you up.
Well, it's been your whole life. And then now it's over. So yeah, that would be rough.
And I put it in a mathematical sense where this is like a third of my life. I still have 2/3 of my life, hopefully, if I'm healthy and take great care of myself, to continue on. And how am I going to be able to manage that? And, you know, you still don't know because you're young and you're just like, you know, I don't even have the wisdom that I would love to have now. But I do know that getting an education really saved my butt quite a bit in all of the trials and tribulations throughout my life that I had to manage. So,
yeah, well, that's great. My gosh, that's very interesting. I'd like to talk to you more about that, but we need to wrap up because we're running a little long, and we got to get you over to your husband so that you can spend a little time with him tonight and them kids
later.
All right, so are you ready to join the Jeep Talk Show crew? Become a Patreon subscriber today at xjtalk.com/contact and unlock exclusive perks while supporting the show. Keep the adventure rolling by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast platform to help grow our Jeep community. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. We love the comment. Anastasia, do you love comments? I love comments.
I love comments. Sometimes
there you go.
Like, I'm not looking at them.
Hey, stay in the loop by following us on social media and signing up for our newsletter for the latest Jeep news and must-attend events. Got a question or an idea for our next episode? Send it our way at xjtalk.com/contact. Thanks for riding along, and let's hit the trail for more epic adventures. Anastasia, thank you very much again. Let me try it one more time. Grenadier. I thought I had
you got it. All right. Tony, you're the best. Thank you so much. It's always fun talking to you.
You guys have a great night. Thank you.
Bye.
Broadcasting since 2010.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.